put myself in there. There we go. This is going to be a comparison between the Samsung Buds 2s versus the Samsung Buds Plus. Now, this actually was a requested video. Unfortunately, I forgot the YouTuber's name. I looked for it. Do apologize if you decided to look at this video. This one was actually for you and anyone that was interested in this, specifically you, because you asked for this. I couldn't find a pair of the Buds Plus. I used to have one. I don't have it anymore, and I didn't really think it was worth the money to necessarily order them just to do a comparison of the video. You can see the Buds right here. But I am going to talk about just some of the specs of it, the pros and cons. Now, this website is from Android Central. Thank God they made this because I really didn't want to have to go do some crazy research for this. But first, we're going to talk about price. Now, the Buds Plus compared to the Buds Pros. Buds Pros. Buds 2s versus the Buds Plus. That's how we're going to say it short. They're both Samsung. Instantly, the price difference. Now, this is Amazon, but the original price for both of them are $149. Now, for those that don't know, because there are a lot of earbuds out there, and I don't expect everyone to know tech, the Buds 2s that you see here that I'm spinning with this mouse are the direct upgrades to the Buds Plus, which were released in 2020. Now, for whatever reason, I felt like these were released in like 2018. I don't know why they felt so old to me, but then I realized I had so many earbuds that I tend to forget the date. So this was released in 2020. This is the 2021 upgraded version. Now, granted, if we're talking about sound and call quality and a few things, we're going to definitely get into that in the video. The cat in here? Oh, my cat was in here. Anyway, we're going to get to that in a moment, but first we're just going to talk about the major differences. Now, if we're talking about feel, to be honest, if we're talking about the top two, it's hard to determine which one feels better, but it's definitely between the Buds 2 and the Buds Plus. I've never experienced any ear fatigue whatsoever with the Buds Plus. The only issue with those was that they do come with wingtips, which you have the option to take them off, like you can see here. But there's a little wingtip where it fits better in ear. I do need to use that, and sometimes that can be uncomfortable over time. But without the wingtip, never had ear fatigue, never had an issue whatsoever with the Buds Plus. The only issue was sometimes they would get a little greasy, from sweating or just having it in for too long. Remember, these had an extremely long battery life of 11 hours, which I'm like, wow, I'm surprised that they took that away from some of the other buds. But, typically when they do that type of thing, they intend on releasing newer buds and eventually upping the tier of battery life and other things to make it look like this is truly a higher tier headset. And the 11-hour battery life, they did way too soon, to be honest. They jumped the gun, kind of like with the phones. 12 gigs in phones, different things. They really jumped the gun, and now they have to take a step back and realize there's only so much more you can do on the phone while keeping it at a somewhat affordable price. Buds 2 also fit very comfortable. I will say the touch so far on the Buds 2s have been much easier because of the design of the headset. As you can see, it's much easier where you can actually see the touchpad area of the headset compared to the Buds 2s, which are completely round, and you just have to kind of feel for it and find it yourself initially before you put them in your ear and remember the positioning. Once you do, it's not really an issue, but to each their own. But I do like the case much better for the Buds 2s. It's I'm not gonna say it's bigger because one is more oval, the other one is more rectangular. So it's really all about preference. And to be honest, I'm still gonna say the Buds 2 because of call quality. Remember, they did upgrade some things in it, the audio quality and the technology in the earbuds themselves. So it's a smarter buy to do the Buds 2s, but again, you can definitely find them for under $100 at this point, the regular Buds Plus. Let's look at the cons. I believe they're both IPX2. They are, so we'll get to that in a second. Now it says the cons for the Buds Plus, touch controls can be finicky. When they say that, I'm talking about single taps like pausing, double taps for answering. If you go anything beyond that, I really don't use my earbuds for those extra buttons. I have the Samsung Watch that goes with everything, so I'll change songs from my watch, especially if I'm on a subway, so I don't have to pull the phone out of my pocket. So we all operate differently. No ANC, we already know that. Larger case, yes, because it's oval. Not very durable. That is something that I'm glad that they said. With anyone considering buying the Buds Plus, I've sold these headphones multiple times to different people, coworkers, and most people love them. But the problem was that some people destroy headphones. They treat them horribly, like their phones, or some people don't take care of their cars, and that's why they break down. No coolant, no gas, things like that. If you drop those headphones, they break very easily, where only one side will work. Luckily, you can use the left or right with either one. You use the left side primarily by itself or the right side primarily, but it had syncing issues also at one point where sometimes one bud just wouldn't charge at all, or one bud was lower than the other, and you had to go through this whole syncing process. And before I want to say this, the not return policy, but if you have something for a long time, this is why I always suggest Best Buy or Micro Center because of insurance. Because if you have an issue with something, you can go back, especially Micro Center, to those stores, and you can go get a coupon, not a coupon, but it's a let's say key card. It's a gift card with the amount that you spent, and then you can go buy something else. I like policies like that rather than having to go to Samsung and send them. There are no Samsung stores in Philadelphia or Upper Darby where I am. I don't know if there's any in King of Prussia. There's Apple stores all around, and you can actually go there and get a replacement, or at least get it set up, or at least even speak to a human to handle this. I don't care for customer service that requires you to call the phone and call the manufacturer. I don't have time for all that. I just want to be able to go back to where I got it and replace it. Set to be discontinued. To be honest, I haven't seen these really in stores lately, especially Best Buy. It's probably just a limited supply of what you can find at this point, or if you can find a seller. They're not bad headphones, but especially with that 11-hour battery life. I think it's like 11 hours in ear for music and video, to like 9 in talking or something, or 8 in talking. Either way, it's extremely good in that battery area. Now the Buds 2s, on the other hand, they are IPX2, which they both are, to be honest. And like I said, it's just a upgrade to these Buds. What you're really getting are better microphones. Right here it says microphones are so-so. Let me explain that one. I mentioned this in my video about the issues that I had with Galaxy Buds 2s, where when I put one in, sometimes it sounds cloudy, sometimes it sounds a little bit foggy, like the music is far away, like music is playing from down. It's in my ear, but it feels like the bass and the mids and the highs and stuff is down the street. Like you can hear something like, what's that sound? You got to walk toward it to hear it. That's not a good example, but I tried. But when you put both inside your ear, that rich Samsung sound pops up. And I'm like, normally it sounds that way with just one earbud, no matter what Samsung product you're using. Hopefully there'll be an update to fix that issue. I don't know if Samsung is aware of that, but a billion-dollar company, I don't know if they're a billion-dollar company, but these companies should be aware of the products that they're selling. I don't know how many YouTubers out there are caping for the company, but anyone that uses headset, it's not necessarily an issue. It's just that you notice it. Like if you come from the Samsung Pros or the Buds Live, you're instantly going to notice exactly what it is I'm talking about. I noticed that the first minute I put the headset in, I said, what's wrong with this thing? Then I got used to it after a while, and I was like, okay, that's how they're made. And I just accepted it. I'm like, you know what? It's not life or death for me. It's not like they randomly disconnect or anything like that. Of course, that also depends on the Bluetooth in your phone. So make sure your phone Bluetooth is updated and compatible with this one. Because again, some people have issues where their watch or their phone constantly disconnect. I don't have that issue when I use non-Samsung devices. Surprisingly, I have that issue when I use more Samsung devices themselves, but I stick to the mid-tier like the 852s. I'm not going any higher than that. Finicky controls, yes, absolutely. Because of the shape of the buds that you can see here, it's hard to get the point of where you're touching in your ear. And depending on your ear size, they fit in and they rise up. So the touch can sometimes be on the back of the headset, on the top of the headset, depending on how you fit the earbud in your ear. So be aware that if you're using touch controls, it can be a little bit frustrating at times. I will admit that. I didn't have that problem with the Pros. I personally did not have that problem with the Plus. Occasionally I might do the touch and it might not register with the Plus, but I'll say 90% of the time, it's a better design in terms of touching. So there's that. So let's scroll down a little bit more. Let's talk about it. So let's show you a little picture right here. Again, this is from Android Central. You know, they did this. I'm just giving you my experience along with how they, what's the word looking for here? Set up the categories. Here we are. So battery life. First thing you're going to see here is, well, number one, they're both IPX2. So if you're one of those people and you're working in a factory, now here's one of the reasons why a couple people that I know wanted the Pros over the Buds 2. And this is a legitimate concern to those that do construction. It's not for the average man. Anyway, the IPX7 works better in construction sites. You may wonder, what do you mean? Are you talking about noise cancellation? No. What I'm referring to is dust and water resistance and heat resistance. Because even though heat's not included in this category, What I will say is that from just a testimony of people that I know that work in the construction category, where they're working in 100-degree weather, welding and things like that, they said that other earbuds outside of, I'm sure there are other earbuds out there that can do this. I just can't verify it because I'm going based on testimonials of people that had the Buds 2s or Buds Plus. The Buds Plus for them worked just fine in that extreme heat temperatures because of the design. They also said that the Buds Pros worked better than the Buds Plus with the IPX7 rating, especially with dust and water resistance. If you're constantly sweating, if you're working in 100-degree temperatures, sorry, I got to breathe for a second. You're going to experience intense heat. That's just common sense. That's like going outside in the middle of the summer in Arizona somewhere and then doing construction. Yeah, it's going to feel a whole lot hotter, especially when you're around a bunch of that dry heat, in addition to wearing hard hats and certain equipment to keep you safe. That adds to the elements, and then you're welding and working. So some headphones start to melt. Like they had the Bose, I forgot what not the new ones, but the older pair of headphones, earbuds, I forgot what they were called. And they melted in that condition. But the Buds Plus and the Buds Pros so far did not. I can't speculate on the Buds 2, but because they're made with the same type of plastic and whatnot, I would assume that they could possibly survive those temperatures too. But I don't want to say they would because, again, I don't know anybody with these earbuds that work in that space. They were using the ones that they previously had. When you're doing this type of construction, you're not interested in buying the newest thing. You're interested in buying what works. Anyway, enough about that. Battery life, 5 hours on the Buds 2 versus 11 hours on the Buds Plus. Now, that is music time. Let's be completely clear about this. This is about music and consumption of just audio and things like that. This is not talk time. Talk time on the Buds Plus is 3.5 hours. Wow, I believe it's 8 to 9 hours or so. It's one of the two on the Buds Plus. I'm sorry, let me correct myself. I think I said that wrong. On the Buds 2, the talk time is 3.5 hours. It's 5 hours for listening time, and that's with ANC on or ANC off. It might be 4 hours with ANC off. I don't remember. But anyway, the point is that talk time is that's what it was. Talk time is 3.5 hours with ANC on or ANC off. That one is guaranteed. You can check the references. That part is true. Talk time on the Buds Plus, I believe, is either 8 hours or 9 hours. So either way you look at it, you're going to get substantial better battery life for the average person that's doing Zoom calls, you're listening to music. It's a combination of things. Remember, your headset will be in standby. You could probably put the Galaxy Buds Plus in for an entire 8-hour shift and be perfectly fine. That's how I was at my job, where I could wear them the entire shift and I would test it, just walk around with it, forget it's in my ear, and I didn't worry about it. And obviously, when I charged the Bud, it would be in either yellow, the case would be in yellow or close to red because I used the majority of that 11 to 8 hours, depending on the combination, but between talk time and listening time. This is where it starts to get a little bit different. 29 hours without ANC, 22 with the Buds Plus. Buds Plus don't have, I believe they might have ambient noise, I believe, but they don't have ANC, so I don't have to mention that. Well, I will mention that for people that are wondering. Also, real fast, just get these in a different color. Like, they look really cheap. They look like Tonka truck earbuds in white. They look better in black, blue, red, is different colors. And for these, the case is always white. Even if you get the graphite or different colors, the case will be white. When you open it up, it'll be a different color. The earbuds will be an actual different color. So what we get here is that because you have that 3.5 hours of talk time, or just the listening time, 5 hours, and you have fast charging, you have it on both. They both do wireless charging, things like that. So if you're still looking for wireless charging, there you go. I want to word this without having to repeat myself. So give me a second while I gather my thoughts. Okay, here we are. Because I don't rehearse anything that I do. I just talk. Want to be more authentic that way. Once you start doing 100 jump cuts, different things, that's when you're too commercial. I don't want to be that. Enough rambling. Anywho, with 29 hours, what I will say that this will last an entire day. Now, they did take the AirPod approach, where AirPods had like a 3-hour battery life, the original, and like 4 or 5 hour talk time. And you could tell that they stole this model from Apple when it comes to battery life, because with the sides of the Bud Pros and the sides of these, you could have easily made it a better battery life, but they decided not to do that for whatever reason. That's what these companies do. They suck you in with certain features, and then they try to suck you in more when they upgrade a feature, and you're like, I'm lacking this. So Again, it's all about the preference of your battery life. If you're that person we were talking about and you're working long hours or construction, you may not want to go inside your pocket and put them inside your case and switch to the left ear and all that. The Buds Plus would be a better way to go if you're working long hours, you're a driver in a truck. Hopefully you have Bluetooth, but if you're a professional driver in a truck, you're going to prefer the Galaxy Buds Plus if you're going to do earbuds strictly on just the battery life alone. Now, if we're talking about call quality, and I'll mention this now, the call quality on the Buds 2s are better than the Galaxy Buds Plus. The Buds sound a little grainy. Now, I did say that the Buds 2 also did in my other review, but it still does edge it out a little bit. I will say that. I still would prefer the Buds 2 in my ear. Plus, they also fit better in my ear along with that because they're inside my ear deeper, but it doesn't cause any actual pain in my ear. Personally, doesn't cause, well, I mean, occasionally it's a little discomfort if I wiggle it around. It's irritating touching the touch feature, but it should be an option in the setting. I know the Buds 2 have that, where you can actually turn the touch off of the headset. So if you're the type of person where you don't care about tapping and do all this nonsense to answer it, you can actually turn that off completely. Supported audio codecs is going to be the same as Samsung, so that makes sense. Digital assistance is going to be the same. Now, I will say that with the Buds 2s, this updated software on the application itself, I think they merged with, I forget the name of the software that Samsung is working with, or they're merged with, because the software works a little bit differently now. Even though the app is the same technically app you're downloading, just the aesthetics of the app, the options, how you operate it is slightly different. It doesn't really require much to learn anything new. If you're trying to change features, everything's so self-explanatory. I think it's Watch Plus, Watch OS, whatever it is, they can combine with Samsung. Anyone in the comment section, please correct me on that when I forget the OS, the new OS that Samsung is using for their watches, in addition to their earbuds. Speaker size, 11.5 mm drivers versus 6. This is going to make a huge difference if we're talking about media consumption and music. Now, this is the reason why I want to say this makes a huge difference. For the average user that just wants a decent headset, they may not care because they have Bluetooth at home, they have speakers at home. I'm the type of person where I have this right here, right? I've turned this on maybe 4 times, to be honest, and I'll dance in front of my wife and be silly and play music and twerk. Yeah, I don't really twerk, but I'm just being silly right here. That's what I do to be silly. I don't use loudspeakers at all, unless it's hooked to my computer and I'm playing a game or something. I don't listen to music out loud. I don't blast it. I always have my earbuds or my Anchor headphones underneath my head. That's for me. So when I talked about driver size, you do get better sound. You get better sound quality. It's louder. When you have ANC on a headset, it's very hard to go back from ANC, especially if you use both ears, to use something that doesn't. Primarily because even if the Samsung headphones, when you compare them to the Beats or certain ones, they don't have the loudest volume. But because of that ANC, it sucks out a lot of that background noise, and you can hear your music just fine where you don't need it at the highest octave anymore. So that makes a huge difference. It's compensation for not having the biggest drivers. So you'll see the, I don't know the name of the company, Sennheisers and all these different companies, bragging about, not bragging, but they pride themselves in having insane drivers and insane sound and bass and all those things. But for the average user, you want to be able to walk into a store, buy these buds, replace these buds if anything happens, something that's popular. Not saying the Sennheisers aren't, I believe I said that name correctly. It's just that they are in like Best Buy in certain stores, but it's more so you're ordering them and they're being sent to you. So that kind of that's a turn off for me, not being able to buy something from the store, immediately purchasing it and having that type of return policy rather than me having to go through an online clerk and all that. I don't personally like that. Now, there are some things I am going to get online, but it's not going to be extremely high-end headphones. It's going to be some other Anchor headphones I'll be reviewing shortly. So, to be honest, you still have your EQ settings. I'm not going to read this entire article. That's pretty much it. So I did tell you guys the major differences between the two. Now, if we're talking about size and fit, I think both of them would be perfectly fine in terms of size and fit. The reason I would suggest the Buds 2s over the Buds Plus overall, primarily is because it's a newer headset with newer software. It's going to have better software support. The Buds Plus are going to be discontinued eventually. And what's going to happen is it's possible that eventually they're not going to be supported anymore. Like, for instance, the Samsung Active Watch still gets updates every so often, right? The first one. But it doesn't have that new Watch OS update that the Watch 3, the Watch 4, and all the other ones have. Even the Active 2, which is the 44M that I use. This is a watch. I don't need a newer one. That one has the new update. It gets the updates for wallpapers and things like that, settings. It just operates better, operates smoother. It notifications pop up almost instantly as soon as they pop up on the phone itself. Might take a second later, but it's not too much of a delay. So the point is that it is better to keep up with your technology. If you already have the Buds Plus, unless ANC is what you're looking for, there's no reason to get the Buds Plus. I mean the Buds 2s. Just gonna be realistic here. If you're upgrading from the Buds Plus, if your old headset is beat up and you're just looking for a replacement, or even if you're comfortable, you say, you know what, I don't want to try something new, you still have the ability to go to the store and buy the Buds Plus for like $99 normally on sale instead of the $149 price. You know the experience, you know exactly how it's going to be, so you have no reason to upgrade. If you work long hours, the Buds Plus, if you don't feel like taking them out of the case. But on the other hand, even though these last 5 hours for like music and 3.5 for talking, the Buds 2s, I'm still going to suggest those overall for the average person, myself, or just anyone out in space, because it does have ANC. And once you experience ANC, that's the standard now. Even the worst standard ANC is still better than using a headset that may not necessarily have it. Like if the Google Pixel Buds A's had ANC, they would have been a huge contender to crush the Galaxy Buds 2s in my opinion, because we're talking about sound. I'm not gonna say they were superior. Well, I prefer the Pixel A Buds in sound. I was listening to music, but talk time and things like that, the Buds 2 still won in almost every other category. Outside of battery life, they're almost virtually the same. So, again, a lot of these Buds are sticking to the Apple model. You got to remember, everybody's copying Apple at this point when it comes to, not necessarily design, but when it comes to just the standard of battery life of certain things. They're not trying to offer customers more anymore. They don't care. They're only interested in giving you just enough to stop you from going to the competitor. Not saying what they're giving you is bad, but honestly, I do think the Buds 2 should have been like $129 realistically. $149 is a little much for them in my opinion. They are good. I'm not going to lie. When you look at the industry standard of other Buds, you have the OnePlus, the Nothing Buds, and all those different things. They're all offering Buds around $129 to $150 anyway. So this isn't a bad price at all, and it's competitive. And it's Samsung. They have a bigger market share than a lot of these other companies outside of Apple. I don't know about the earbud space. I have no idea I know who dominates. I don't know who's in second place. I'm assuming Samsung. I don't know. So that's a different story. But what I will say is, without me ranting further, that's what I've been doing. They're both good. But realistically, get the Buds 2 because of the newer software. I believe the fit will be perfectly fine. They do fit a little bit differently than the Buds Plus. The Buds Plus fit more of your canal around here, but they're lightweight, so they don't cause too much ear fatigue. While the Buds 2, for me at least, fit directly in my ear and less in the canal, meaning it's deep in there. Now, like I said in my other video, and I'll mention this again with the Buds 2s, the issues that my wife had in particular was that when she put it inside her ear and it sat here for a while, she has very small earlobes. If she felt pressure, like it wasn't too heavy, but it felt like the bud was prying her ear open. And when you do that for a certain amount of time, it's like holding a bag of groceries in your hand for an hour. Sure, you'll be strong enough to do it, but over time you will get tired and fatigued. And that's what happens with these earbuds, depending on the person. To each their own. Anywho, that's the video. I do apologize for not having the actual the Buds Plus. I don't have them anymore. I do have the Buds 2s. That's what I'm currently using. So hopefully this comparison is good enough for anyone that was interested in seeing it, and you can determine when you walk into the store what you actually want to purchase. Oh, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You know what? Even if you don't like the video, that's perfectly fine. I'm more interested in subscribing because I do want people to see my content more often. And that's the video. So I will talk to you guys and see you.